All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Did you have to disconnect and then reconnect?
I just disconnected. I just pressed disconnect, switched it over to the microphone, and then just pressed connect again.
Okay, so you entered the username and password and everything.
I didn't have to enter that when I reconnected.
Oh, you didn't have to reconnect. Really?
Yeah, no, it didn't. It didn't make me. All I did was just press stop on the thing, went back, changed it to USB device, and then I just pressed start again.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right. We'll stand by here just a second.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right. Yeah, stand by for just a second.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's pretty good, Colin. Sounds pretty good because I know you'll be a little louder when you're calling the game or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, so that sounds pretty good. Um, you can just have Lek at about the same level you're at when he plugs that handle mic in.
Okay.
And you can just have him run the camera.
Gotcha. And then, yeah, we can trade off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do me a favor. You can even zoom in a little bit if you want on that camera.
Okay. Just let me know how far.
Just get it to where maybe you don't see the track.
Okay. Let me move it down a little bit, and then I'll zoom in more.
So it's just the field. So you should be able to have about 20 or 30 yards of the field. I mean, these kids aren't going to throw 40-yard passes. So it's not.
Alright, got that, and then... Okay. How's this look?
All right, stand by.
Because there's two screens I'm looking at here on the flash media encoder. One zoomed in super far, and the other one's zoomed in to where I can't see the track.
Yeah, that's good. Right there is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because I can see it from basically from the 40 to the 40. So, yeah, there.
Can you see sideline to sideline, or do I need to?
Yeah. No, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's about 30 yards both ways. Do me a favor real quick. Pan that camera around both ways just to make sure you can see the end zones and stuff if you can. Just back and forth.
Okay. The other side, right there. All right. Does that look good?
Yeah, hang on. There's about a 30-second delay.
Okay.
Do it when I see it. So. And then go just real quick one more time for me. Just count to 10.
Okay.
Like,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
yeah, that looks perfect. Looks absolutely perfect. Yeah, good. And just be on Lek. Make sure he follows the ball. You take play-by-play for the first game and let Lek do the camera.
Okay.
And then tell him to follow the ball.
one, but I can go down and probably request one.
Yeah, but yeah, we need the name, so they should have rosters. So whoever, when this play comes out there or whatever, they should have rosters of these kids
Yeah.
that they can give you for each game, for each team.
Okay.
So just leave it connected if you can get those, and then just make sure that they know they need to give you the rosters for each game.
Okay.
Okay?
Gotcha.
All right, man. I'll text you if there's any problems or anything.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
All right, thanks, brother.
Yep. See ya.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Fishers HSE Youth Football and HSE High School welcome you to Reynolds Royal Stadium for this morning's third grade championship game between the Navy Midshipmen and the Air Force Falcons. Good sportsmanship between athletes, officials, coaches, game officials, teams, and spectators is one of the most important parts of youth athletics. Judgment calls made by officials, coaches, and athletes are made in good faith and should be respected. Spectators are encouraged to support your team, but asked to refrain from making inappropriate comments or cheers during today's game. Fishers HSE Youth Football and HSE High School hope you will enjoy the game and show positive support for all athletes. Please remember that good sportsmanship creates winners for life. HSE High School is a smoke-free campus. Therefore, smoking is not permitted in Reynolds Royal Stadium. Concessions are located on the northeast corner of the field. Restrooms are located on both the northwest and northeast corners of the stadium. HSE High School asks that spectators honor the handicapped and restricted areas in our parking lots. The yellow curved areas must be kept clear for emergency vehicles, and you must have a handicap permit to park in the designated handicap parking spaces. If we could ask both teams to proceed to their respective sidelines for the national anthem and roster introductions. Starting with the third grade visiting team, the Navy Midshipmen. Number 6, Gabe Griffin. Number 7, Balin Rosenberg. Number 10, Kipton Harris. Number 12, Rowan Moore. Number 18, Ryan Tholen. Number 27, Max Kleinbug. Number 30, McLean Stout. Number 33, Connor Gorman. Number 40, DJ Turner. Number 44, Colin Wolf. Number 50, Ryan Tenney. Number 51, Keegan Gates. Number 55, Alan Puckett.
Okay, which
Chris
I
Kleinbug,
had you right.
Ryan Wolf,
Just next to
Jack
me.
Moore.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're right, Will.
And now for your home team, third grade Air Force Falcons. Number 6, Fletchton Sunley. Number 7, Chase Greco. Number 10, Caleb Lewis. Number 12, Noah Hawks. Number 18, Kyle Lewis. Number 27,
Are we
Dylan Lane.
recording this part?
Number 30,
Yeah.
Keller
Okay,
Miller.
good, good, good. Sounds good.
Number 33, Atari King.
Just want to like trade off, like, you know, you do like play-by-play one game, I do the next game. Okay.
Number 50,
Yeah, that's what
Nate
Rob was
Thompson.
thinking.
Yeah, I guess otherwise, you know,
Number 51, Avery
doing
Stewart.
6 hours straight, you know, can take its toll on the voice.
Vaughn
Yeah.
Fry.
I'm probably gonna go get a Coke probably between a couple of the games at some point.
The Falcons are coached by John Lewis, Troy Thompson, and Ryan Bordering.
All right. Oh yeah.
Navy and Air Force.
Okay, this is, let's see.
It's the Air Force and Navy. These are both teams.
Captain Samithio, please. Captain.
Okay, so what are the two rosters for this game that we're doing now?
Right here.
Okay.
So we got Air Force, Navy.
Okay, do we need to do a sound check here? Do you need to do a sound check here?
Nah, he just, we already did sound check and everything, but he just told me to set you as the same level as me.
Okay.
So I'll just go ahead and
Sounds good.
I'll just go ahead and do that real quick. And if you want to do,
Yeah,
like
testing.
if you want to go ahead and do an introduction or something, then go ahead.
Okay, let me see. Do I have a list of the same teams that you do?
Here, we can do this. We can just
Okay, that's
put
fine.
something right here. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and turn you up and let you know when you're good.
Okay, all right, no problem. It's testing. Let me know how it sounds. It's got a beautiful day today here in Fishers, and hopefully we'll have a great afternoon of football for these kids as we get a look at the future of these programs. So anyway, yeah, I just want to make sure that we're both at the same level.
Okay. Turned up.
So-
For some reason.
Yep. So I know sometimes it's a little bit tricky when you got one person on a headset, the other on a mic. But
Go ahead and turn you up a little bit more.
okay. Okay. All right. All right. Sounds good. All right. And so anyway. Okay. So our all right. So are we ready to start?
Ready to start?
Okay. Well, hello and welcome to IU Health Field on the campus of Hamilton Southeastern High School in Fishers, Indiana. My name is Lek Zorn. I'm joined by Colin Bruns, and we're going to be bringing you all the action for the next 6 hours for the Fishers Hamilton Southeastern Youth Football Championships. You know, Fishers is the home of two of the best high school football programs in the state, Hamilton Southeastern and Fishers, and collectively they run this youth football program to help develop kids to play for the Royals and the Tigers in a few years. And today we're going to have the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade championships. And we're starting off with the third grade championship game between Air Force and Navy. So anyway, Colin, you go to Western Boone High School, which is which has a great football program. Won a state championship, and frequently been a top 10 team. Currently ranked number 1 in the state right now in Class 2A, and firsthand that part of building a great high school football program is a good youth program.
Well, most definitely, Leck, and everything starts in the younger years. Like you get a lot of guys that grow up in these youth championship leagues, and right here we got a pass right on the first play, and that one falls incomplete. And that was intended for number 40. That looks like B.J. Turner of Navy. So Navy starts off with this first possession. But like I was saying, the way to develop all of these great athletes, have them come through the system. They learn like a very simplified offensive set that each team runs, very simplified defense. And then once you get up to maybe like junior high, you start adding a little more in there. You sprinkle a little bit more play calling, a little bit more mechanics, and you teach the kids a lot more. And it really helps develop them for high school years, especially with incoming freshmen. It kind of gives them a sense of direction, where to go within the program. And right here, a run out to the outside. Turning it up is number 10, Kipton Harris, and Harris is finally brought down. Not before he can pick up the first down. He's not quite there yet.
Yeah, so that's a good solid run there by Harris. Get up to, and that's one thing that I know when I covered this event 2 years ago. One thing I noticed is the differences between the 4th, 5th, 6th, and grade rules. You start up in 3rd grade, you actually have coaches on the field to guide the players. Mm-hmm. And then, as you get, as the kids get older, then, they're more free to do their own thing.
Exactly. And, it's all providing a sense of direction. You got to guide these kids to learn the game of football and to learn the offense that they will be running for the next few years if they continue it. And right here, a little screen pass dumped off, and a nice tackle there.
Tackle for a loss. They were right on top of him.
Yeah, that was B.J. Turner with the reception right there, and instantly the corner for Air Force came in and just laid him down. So it brings up 4th down for Navy.
Yeah, they got a loss of 3 there, so great job being right on top of him.
And these kids, a lot of them they give football a try being younger, you don't like to get hit, you don't like being hit. How do you instill that sense of aggressiveness within these young kids without going too far?
Yeah, it's all about balance. You're getting them in good conditioning, seeing what the game is all about, learning teamwork, and learning the team concept, and now we're up to 4th down here, 4th and 6.
All right, here they're going to go for it. 4th down,
and
obviously.
Fakes the handoff. That's good, and he got some room on the right side. He could go a long way inside the 20.
Yep, it's a first down, and he's brought down at about the 10-yard line on the quarterback keeper. That's number 18, Ryan Tholen.
That's a 26-yard pickup there by Tholen.
And good tackle by 44 by Knox Borgerding.
And Colin, I think when you look at the success that these two programs have had, the high school programs, Hamilton Southeastern and Fishers both being consistent top 10 teams, Fishers with the state championship in this decade back in 2010, it's easy to get the kids to know that it's a good system and that it's worth believing in.
Definitely. When you have a successful system, it really draws in more attention from other kids who may have not been so sure about trying football younger on. Like, I know from my experience personally, I never was much of a football guy growing up as a kid. I played 1 year of 5th grade football, and I decided that was it for me until I got to my 8th grade years. And I really regret that because, I was a little bit behind everybody. I had to learn and develop more, especially being younger. Right now, here, the quarterback keeper.
Stolen's going to go in. He could get. Yes, he's got.
Oh yeah, he's got a touchdown.
Yes.
So right here, Navy strikes first. Ryan Tholen with the quarterback keeper again. He had the big 26-yard run earlier. And right there, he puts Navy on the board first, 6-0.
So Colin, is Ryan Tholen the next great option quarterback in the making here in Indiana?
I wonder. So he's got great athleticism for being a third grader. I mean,
yeah.
He's very shifty out there on the field. It doesn't look like running on the turf is really posing a problem for him. I mean, he's going to be used to running on these turf fields. A lot of these bigger schools have these turf fields.
Yeah,
and I mean, it's just that's very great for him to get that experience so far younger on. And right now, being a quarterback, and he's already got 6 points on the board for him.
Yep,
that's pretty great.
Indeed, and of course, yeah, even some smaller schools are getting these turf. Cascade just installed a field turf surface this year, and they're a Class 2A school, so it's not just the giant schools anymore.
And I would say, yeah, the turf field is the direction to go for most teams. Right here on the keeper, sheds one tackle, but he's not going to get to the end zone. And that's Tholen again with the keeper.
Well, you got to admire his bravery. I mean, he's a guy who believes he can score on every play. I mean, that guy's got a lot of spirit, a lot of competitive fire. So I'm definitely going to be remembering that name and watching him over the years. And, of course, Hamilton Southeastern, one of the longest serving clients here that we have on audiosportsonline.com. I've commentated several of their varsity games over the years, and hopefully I'll get to commentate him playing for the Royals in a few years.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a great name to remember, especially coming up through the system. He's playing for this Navy team, and Tholen looks like one of those guys. You can kind of pick and choose. You can spot these kids that you can tell are kind of a little bit of ahead of the pack.
Yes.
In their early years, they show great athleticism. They can run really fast. They're just great under pressure. And right there, Tholen was able to convert the fourth down. And then he turned it into a touchdown. So already doing big things here early on, and those things that seem little now will definitely grow as he grows.
Oh yes, and one of my great joys. I'm in my 7th season as a commentator now, and one of my great joys is watching kids who I commentated in high school now play in college, and now starting to play professionally in at least one case. Zach Irvin, who played basketball here at Hamilton Southeastern, now playing professional basketball overseas after a very good career at Michigan. Anyway, we'll hold that thought. But
right here, a fumble on the play, and it's picked up by Kyle Lewis of Air Force. He's able to get on. That's a loss, though, of about a couple yards on the play. It's going to bring up a second down.
But I will say this, though, very good awareness there by Lewis because, recovering a fumble is not an easy thing to do. I mean, to pick up a bouncing ball when you got, a bunch of people trying to jump on it. So,
especially on the turf field with a lot of rubber being spread around the field, you just got a ball bouncing against rubber.
Yeah, you do see some freakish.
It's going to get a little more bounce.
You do see some freakish bounces, yes.
Right here in the I formation, and they do a fullback handoff. And getting up the middle there is number 27, Dylan Lane, for the Air Force. And the Air Force pick up those yards again. And that's going to bring up a third down, though. They get to about 3rd and 5. So let's see here what Air Force decides to do. They're most likely, you don't see a lot of passing in the youth league years. Most of the quarterbacks that play youth football aren't really developed arm strength-wise yet. And as you grow, you kind of see a little more passes being sprinkled in. I know in my high school, the main focus we teach our young kids is it's not like a triple option offense, but it's very run-heavy style. And there's a lot of running to be taken right here. A good run to the outside and shaking a few tackles, still going. He's got blockers in front of him. That's Kellen Miller of Air Force. That's a good pickup of a first down right there after being 3rd and 5.
Yeah, he got about 12 or 13 out of that one. Let's see what kind of spot he gets. He did pick up the first, nevertheless. Oh, it's coming back. Never mind.
Oh, man.
That's
a tough break. Yeah, that's a tough break there. It looks like it might have been a holding penalty because they're going to take the yard marker all the way back to the 40-yard line, and that's going to be where the original spot of the ball was. And unfortunately, that's just not – it's not a good mistake to have early on if you're Air Force already down 6-0.
Yeah, and, Colin, I remember from when I commentated this event 2 years ago right here at Hamilton Southeastern, they were using the college names for each team. And I think it's great to let the kids just have some fun with the names.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely I will say that, you see those big guys playing on TV, your dad, if you're a young kid, your dad watching college football on Saturdays, you see all those big-name teams, and then you get to be a part of a team that has a similar name. You know, you kind of, as a kid, you kind of put yourself in those shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And it really makes it playing a lot better. Right there, another run by Miller. He's tackled by number 44. That's Cullen Wolf.
And that was a great tackle by Wolf from behind, too.
Oh, yeah, that's a great technique there. Able to wrap up the legs and bring him down. Most kids, you know, they don't know the proper way of tackling. You know, you don't go up high to try and bring another kid down. You go low, go for his legs. And right there, Wolf went for the legs. And that's already good teaching so far from Navy.
And, you know, a lot of people who don't really pay attention to football like we do since we're commentators, you know, they don't understand that it's not simply strength and brute force. There is an art to it. There's a science to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, especially with all the rule changes being made in the professional level of football, the NFL, and in college. You know, it's the big thing these days is player safety, and tackling is really going to see some changes throughout the years as football continues to grow as a game, and it's already grown exponentially. Right here, the outside handoff is jet sweep.
He's got the
to
first
number 18,
down.
Kyle Lewis. He picks up the first down and
he's
sheds
going all
another
the way.
tackle. He's going to the end zone. Nobody's going to catch him there. Touchdown, Air Force.
38 yards. Wow. 38 yards by Kyle Lewis on 4th and 8.
Great run.
So we've seen both teams. See now, Air Force, didn't they have or didn't Navy have a 4th down conversion on their first?
Yeah, they did. Navy had a 4th and long conversion from the quarterback keeper. That was Ryan Tholen, and both touchdowns coming from two number 18s. Number 18, Kyle Lewis there, and then number 18, Ryan Tholen on the Navy side. So,
yes.
You know, well, followers of Peyton Manning getting into the end zone early, much as he did in his professional days, only through the air.
Of course, yes. And it makes me, and I was just talking ironically on Friday night when I commentated my game of Cascade at Indian Creek, my varsity game. I mentioned that phenomenon, and I mentioned how I wonder how many more years we'll have see a bunch of quarterbacks in Indiana high school football wearing number 18. You know, as Peyton Manning, as we get move in kids to high school who don't remember Peyton Manning.
Well, Peyton Manning surely did a lot for football here in Indiana.
Oh,
he
yeah.
may really kind of put football in the center spot over
Yes.
basketball in Indiana. You know, Indiana primarily known as a basketball state. I'd say Peyton Manning kind of broke that barrier. And right there, that is blown up by number 55, Alec Puckett. Wow. That was number 27 on the carry, Dylan Lane, and he was just lit up by Puckett. And right there, both teams not able to get in the end zone for the conversion, so that's going to leave it a tie ball game at 6. With 11 seconds to go here in the first period, that's going to run out, and Navy will take over on offense here on OU Sports Online.
Well, I'll tell you, Hamilton Southeastern, like I said, has been a longtime member of AudioSportsOnline.com. It's been a pleasure for me to cover their Royals games. Colin, I know you've done some Hamilton Southeastern broadcasts this season, while I've mostly been doing Cascade. And, it's great that they do this as well to give these kids, this kind of attention. And not only that, but to commemorate their championship games. I remember I played 3 championship Little League baseball games as a kid. I'm sure there's no video of any of them, So it's great that these kids, 50 years from now, they'll be able to get online and show their grandkids their youth, championship game, and commemorate it like this. And and hopefully probably some of these kids won't play beyond Little League, but probably some of them will be playing for Hamilton Southeastern or Fishers in a few years.
Yeah, I'd say the younger years is a great time to give football a try.
Yeah.
If you give football a try when you're later on in high school, I know for my football team, we have a few first-year players that have never really played football much before and throughout the high school career. I know we have one guy, one of our defensive tackles, who's actually the second sack leader on the team. He has not played football at all during his high school years. This is his first year playing, and he's a senior, and he's already has the second most sacks on the team. I mean, those kids, some of the people like that, they slip through and they can get it really quick, but other kids need more time to get all the play calling. And I know high school football, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more depth than just what's given to you in youth league.
Oh, yes, definitely. So now Navy back in action again.
Navy's going to throw again. They fire a quick one. That's caught by Keegan Gates, and Gates trips over the official, and he gets out of bounds. Not before picking up about 5 yards on the play. Good run there from Gates. And the official went tumbling over the yard marker trying to get out of the way back at the 40. But he's all right, so going to resume action here. It's a good 5-yard gain.
2nd and 5
for Navy.
now for the midshipmen.
Yeah, and it's definitely a good time for especially younger kids like on the offensive line and defensive lines to develop, because mainly those guys are going to be the ones who are leading the way up front for the skill position. You know, you need to teach these kids proper blocking techniques so they can't, get drawn for penalties. And also, you don't teach them much of hand fighting when they're younger, but you try to teach them how to get past your offensive line. You got to really teach kids the specifics of it. I remember one time when I was playing back in 5th grade, I didn't really know the difference between offensive and defensive line because I played both. So there would be times on the offensive line I'd try to get past my defender in front of me, and then the other times I'd, try to block an offensive lineman. So you need to just teach these kids the basics.
Oh yes, fundamentals are so important. And you look at, I remember, for example, a couple of years ago, I commentated Plainfield, another audio sports online school, against Arsenal Tech in the playoffs. And, Arsenal Tech's an inner city school, a lot of poor kids. They don't have a lot of money for things like camps and good equipment. And I could tell watching the game that Arsenal Tech, they had a lot of raw talent. They just hadn't gotten good development for it.
Yeah, and that's always a tough break to see kids who have talent but just not have it fully developed, reach their full potential. And right here, a handoff to the outside. That's Gates again with the run. He's going to get to the outside. He's going to go a long way. He's got one man to beat, and he beat him. Touchdown,
wow.
Navy.
So each team has scored on every all 3 offensive possessions have resulted in touchdowns. And from 11, 38, and 35 yards. So the 3rd graders already showing they're capable of big plays.
Well, it's the kids with the speed that really thrive in the youth league. I mean, if you're just faster than everybody, you get a couple of blockers out in front of you, you're going to take it to the house no matter what. I know but once you start to get older, that speed really doesn't matter as much anymore. And because the defenders get faster too, and you start throwing in more coverage schemes, you start throwing in more run-stopping schemes, and it makes it harder for those kids to rely on their speed anymore. So that's where running backs need to kind of develop, is about maybe 5th, 6th grade, and then even 7th grade years. They start to have to rely on more power and more power running and more skill running, using their feet more than just being a pure speedster. Like right here to the outside, and he gets in. And right there, that's number 40, B.J. Turner, with the conversion.
So that's the first successful conversion in the game. And Colin, with basketball, it's not quite the same thing, because that's not a sport that's a sport where a lot of kids develop themselves on playgrounds. And if you're a high school basketball team, even if you're in a dirt-poor area, if you have one future Division I player, you can be a very competitive team.
Most definitely. There's been a lot of very successful players in the pro area that have come from nothing. Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose, a lot of those guys really didn't have a lot growing up as kids.
Yeah.
And they came from inner cities, and they were able to make very successful basketball careers. I mean, other than Derrick Rose, who's faced a lot of knee injuries.
Right.
But I would still say he's had a really good basketball career, the youngest player ever to win Most Valuable Player.
Yeah, it's one of those things. He's one of those guys you just wonder what would have been had he stayed healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I remember I think he was a 30-point-a-game scorer early in his career.
Amazing point guard for the Chicago Bulls, amazing guy. But now he's just now he's an NBA journeyman, and he didn't end up far from Chicago. He's in Minnesota. But he played well last night. I saw him play last night. He came away with 16 points last night, coming off the bench against the Golden State Warriors, and he got the win too. So. That's a good thing. Even though it's preseason, still good to see Derrick Rose being a great basketball player.
Yeah, I admire him for his competitive spirit, trying to keep coming back, especially when you've been a superstar like that, and you continue for years as a journeyman, and it makes people forget a lot of the time how great you were, and you end up with a lot of criticism and people making fun of you. But it shows what a great competitor he is, that he's still willing to keep giving it a try.
And right here, the toss to the outside in the I formation, cutting it back to the middle of the field. That's Akari King, and King gets close to the first down marker, and he's not quite going to pick it up yet. And we have a child down on the field, but he's going to get up real quick, hopefully. Yeah, it looks like he's all right. Just kind of grabbing onto his leg. And a lot of kids, they get little small injuries that, they may hurt a lot. But once you get up to the junior high level, high school level, you just look at those little bruises and kind of shake them off, not even realize that you got them. So we're going to take a timeout here.
Yeah, 6:03 to go.
Mm-hmm. 6:03 to go. And, I want to talk to you a little bit about injuries since we're referring to Derrick Rose. And you talked about how Rose is a very good competitor in the basketball area.
Yes.
Since he keeps coming back after dealing with multiple lower body injuries. But for football, you see a lot of guys get hurt, and they never really recover. Sam Bradford is one guy in mind who had a lot of promise in college, Heisman Trophy finalist, and he got to the pros, and he just had a lot of issues. But, yeah, he keeps coming back. Would you say with football it's a little bit harder to try and get back on the field?
Hold that thought till to this play, but he's got the first down there inside. A nice spin move there. Now he stays on his feet, finally goes down at about the 27, but not before picking up the first down.
And that's number 44, Knox Borgerding.
Yeah,
hard time saying that name.
Yeah.
Borgerding. I'm going to say Borgerding.
Yeah.
He does pick up the first down across the 30-yard line, so they're going to spot this ball at about the 27-yard line.
So he gets 5 out of that one. It depends on the nature of the injury, of course. There are a lot of variables, but I think that, probably a little harder in football just because it is more of a high risk injury
more
sport.
Of a contact sport.
Yep. There are injuries in basketball too, but I would say football probably would increase your chance just because of the physicality of the game.
Right there, the pass caught by number 50, Nate Thompson, and Thompson finally gets up ahead. Big gain on the play. They're spotting him at about the 20-yard line. They're going to put it about the 21, 22 maybe. That's going to bring up second down.
Yeah, it's 5 yards there by Thompson.
Good catch. So obviously the Air Force wanting to develop that. So they're sticking to their name, developing the passing game here. We've seen a lot more passes from them than we have Navy. And the Navy, it's funny because the Navy midshipmen are in college are most notably known for their triple option run offense.
Oh yeah, they're so fun to watch.
And the Air Force, they run a similar style passing game. So would you say they're kind of drawing a little bit from each team?
It probably unintentionally, but it does seem so, and we got a flag here.
And right there to the outside, that was Nate Thompson, and the flag flies in.
I would doubt it's intentional, but, of course, we see far more rushing than passing when you have these younger teams anyway. But, it is ironic, though, and, you look at the service academies, for obvious reasons, they do not get a lot of blue-chip recruits because, if you play for them, you have a 5-year commitment beyond college, and so you aren't likely to go there if you have NFL aspirations. But I think maybe in part because of that, they use they tend to run offenses that are harder to defend. Like for example, I remember Army when I was for a long time was known for running the wishbone. They were probably the last major college football team to run the wishbone regularly. And then I think it was when they weren't having great success with it, but they were getting 3 or 4 wins a year. And then when they abandoned it, that's when everything fell hard for that program. Mm-hmm. And they were having a lot of 0 and 12, 1 and 11 seasons.
It's definitely hard to recover if you're a college program because, it really all depends on player preference. You can't really just it's not like the NFL where you can offer somebody a lot of money and they can come to your school. You can give out scholarships, but if you got one guy who's really getting a lot of scholarships, right here, and he breaks away. Good running from number 44, Knox Bordering. That's a touchdown.
Yes. 32 yards.
Wow, Knox Borgerding, big run there. He got right up the middle, shed a few tackles of the defense, and he just attacked the heart of the defense. He got away, and he put 6 on the board. That's going to bring it to within a 2-point game. 14-12 on the scoreboard, 2:37 to go in the second period.
And, of course, one thing, in the NFL, maybe not so much now that they have the 32-yard PATs instead of the 20 yards. But, in high school ball and below, you have a lot of uncertainty and drama associated with the conversions. Like yesterday, for example, I commentated JV Avon versus Westfield, and each team got 5 points. Each team went 3 for 5 on PATs, and it ended up going into overtime where Avon pulled out the win, 41-33. But I remember but that adds a lot of drama and excitement to the game that isn't there in the NFL, where the PATs are virtually automatic, especially when it was a 20-yard PAT, which they changed a couple of years ago.
Well, you're right, yeah, and it seemed like PATs were pretty easy to come by in the NFL level when it was just about 20 yards. Oh, right here, and it's a messed up play, and Borgerding is going to be brought down in the backfield. A little bit of confusion.
Yes.
He's tackled by 33 Akari King, and right there, Air Force still not able to get in on the conversions. Navy so far has 1 conversion that's been converted. They still lead 14-12. And right here is a good time to clean up those mistakes like that. Right here, obviously, Borgerding was confused, thought the run was going to the right side, ended up the I formation, the 2 backers ended up going to the left side. So this is a good time, though, to clean up those mistakes, and especially here at the end of the season, it's a good time to get everything good before you move on to 4th grade.
Oh, it is, yeah. And but I'll tell you, though, I mean, we're almost through one half of football here at Fishers, and yet, we've seen, even though these are 3rd graders, these are basically 8 and 9-year-olds, we've seen very few serious mistakes today.
Oh, yeah, very. If I was to say there's any mistakes, I'd say that's the only one. And then the tackling mistakes, and right there, that pass is incomplete. That was intended for 51. That's Keegan Gates. Gates has a touchdown already. Big touchdown run on the jet sweep. And Gates looks like another one of those players to keep an eye out for, as he grows and continues to play football. Hopefully he continues to stick with the game, and he likes it. He already has a touchdown here on a long run.
Yeah, 35, yeah.
Yeah. And, hopefully most of this roster is still here. But the benefits of having a bigger high school is that you have more variety of kids to pick through. So, Hamilton Southeastern, obviously, 6A school, one of the biggest schools in the state of Indiana. Fishers, same thing, one of the biggest schools in the state of Indiana. They have a lot of variety to pick from when it comes to athletes.
Yeah, and certainly that's something that's it's always a good quality to have. I hold that thought to this play, and now we've got a whistle here. And Navy takes a timeout with 1:19 to go here in the first half. But yeah, I've been commentating 6 of the 7 varsity games this year. I've commentated Cascade. We have about 480 students there, and it really, really limits us. I mean, this senior class, we have 8 seniors this year, and we have 8 seniors on this year's class, and Friday night at Indian Creek, we were without our top player overall, A.J. Sanders, and then we were without our second leading rusher, Cole Edwards. And I don't think we would have won had we had those 2 players, but we just had so little adequate replacement for those 2 guys that it really put us in a deep hole, to start off.
And that's definitely a tough thing. I know, especially with my high school, we're a 2A school, and we're the number 1 team in 2A school, but it's, like you said, it hangs by a thread. I mean, one of our skill players gets hurt, and right here, the quarterback keeper again. He sheds another tackle. Oh, and he keeps running ahead. He cuts back to the middle of the field. Breaks
my God.
And breaks another one. He is down inside the 10-yard line to the 5. Man. Good run by Cullen Wolf of Navy.
Yes. That was Wolf there on the run?
Wow, number 44, Cullen Wolf with a carry, and he's finally brought down by Nate Thompson of Air Force. It's a big run there, and
keep in mind, he was the one who made that great tackle earlier from behind that we talked about.
Oh yeah, he also blew up the line of scrimmage on the conversion that Air Force had when they tried to get their first conversion after scoring their first touchdown. He flew in and made the tackle, and he laid a really big hit on whoever the running back was. That was Dylan Lane, who tried to carry it in, and he just lit him up. And right here, Cullen Wolf doing a lot of things for his Navy football team here late in the season and in this championship game. And once again, after the game, there will be an award ceremony. We won't commentate over it, but we will record it and let you listen in on who will receive trophies. Obviously, everybody will most likely receive a trophy for the team, but we'll take a look at who receives the big awards. And right here we got 55 seconds to go until quarter number 2 ends. And we're going back to that wishbone style. And right here, Wolf takes a handoff, and he hands it off to number 50, Ryan Kinney, and Kinney scores a touchdown. And Ryan Kinney with a touchdown. That's the third player on Navy to score a touchdown in this championship game.
Yes, and
they called a holding against Navy. Wow. Big break. Ryan Kinney nearly had a touchdown to put up 6 more on the board to make it a 20-12 game. And they're going to set this one way back.
You know, if for contrast, the one week I didn't commentate Cascade this season, I filled in for Avon, who's, Cascade has about 480 students. Avon has about 2,900. And Avon runs a one running back offense, and their lead running back is Samson James, a senior, he's already committed to Ohio State. And so yesterday, and, I've been commentating, but I'm the main commentator for Avon JV and freshman ball, and they have this guy, I've been commentating him for 3 years now. He's now on JV. His name's Jarrett Steven, not Stevens, but Steven singular with a PH. And, he would be starting varsity and the lead back on.
Oh, wow, look at this right here, Relec.
Oh, my God, how
he
many
still
tackles
is
he gonna
going. Wow. And once again, that's Ryan Kinney with the carry.
Yeah, he was mad because his touchdown got called back, so he was,
brought out the beast mode, and
Yeah.
Ryan Kinney, he gets down inside the 10-yard line. They're going to spot this one at the 8.
So 25 seconds to go.
And right here, Navy gets the ball. They hand off up the middle, and still working his way to the end zone. That is Cullen Wolf with the keeper. He's going to go down, and there's still going to be 15 seconds on the clock. They're going to try to get this one in. That's at the PAT hash mark. 10 seconds on the clock, second quarter. Navy leading 14-12. He better snap the ball. He's got 5 seconds. Takes the snap. Keeps it. He tried to give it back to him. Oh, look at this. Breaks the tackle. The buzzer is sounded. Still trying to get to the end zone. Oh, and he's going to be stopped down. That was Keegan Gates.
Great effort, though. Who was it who carried the play before that?
That was 44 Cullen Wolf.
Okay, yeah.
So Wolf had the quarterback keeper before that, and then he handed off to Keegan Gates to try to break it in the end zone. But nevertheless, Navy is going to go into halftime with a 2-point lead, 14-12 over Air Force. And, we got about 5 minutes until the third quarter will kick off. Great game here so far. Been mostly a rushing attack from both teams. Navy has two different players that have scored touchdowns, along with Air Force. They've had 2 different players that score touchdowns. Knox Borgading has a touchdown. And then I'm trying to figure out who else has a touchdown.
Oh, yeah. Basically, with 6:02 to go in the first quarter, Ryan Tholins opened the scoring for Navy with an 11-yard rush. The 2-point conversion failed. And then on Air Force's ensuing possession, Kyle Lewis rushed 38 yards for the touchdown. The 2-point conversion also failed, tying us at 6. Then on Navy's ensuing possession, Keegan Gates scored on a 35-yard rush. And then B.J. Turner got a 2-point conversion on a rush to make it 14-6. And finally, Air Force scored on a 32-yard rush by Knox Borgerding, and the 2-point conversion failed, bringing us to our current score of 14-12, although it should be noted that then on Navy's ensuing possession, they got the ball all the way down to the 4-yard line where their drive died as the clock expired. But a look at the individual statistics. First of all, for Navy, let's see here. We've got, first of all, for Navy, we have Ryan Tholen, 2 rushes for 36 yards and a touchdown. And then let's see here. Let me get this in a second. Go on with whatever you're going to talk about, Colin.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine, Luck. You're fine. It's definitely difficult to keep track of stats. You know, we're both trying to commentate at the same time.
Yes.
And then, we just a two-man crew, not having a statistician here to try and help out with us. And that's unfortunate, but it's hard to come by help these days for that kind of thing. I know when I was at the first Hamilton Southeastern game, week 1 at Lucas Oil Stadium, I was calling that game there, and I remember just how difficult it was to try and keep track of stats and also look down on the field from the Indy press box, which is like way up high off the field, and it's just hard to try to pay attention to numbers, who gets the carries, who gets the yards, and who scores the touchdowns when you're sitting way up high. And I remember Matt Harris helped the drive down the field with Cody Sparks, and both those guys made really good plays. They got their teams down the field, and Harris drove in for the touchdown to win the game. He tied it, actually, and then Hamilton Southeastern's Hebben Street made it a 1-point lead for the Royals. And they took the lead over Lawrence Central, and Central was upset by Hamilton Southeastern in week 1. So, already the first-year head coach Adam Morris doing great things for this Hamilton Southeastern football team, getting the win in week 1, and then obviously going on to a 3-3 record right now.
Yeah, and certainly it's obviously it was going to be a transition for Coach Morris coming in, to replace Scott May, who had been here for well over a decade, and he probably could have stayed, but his youngest son Johnny graduated, now playing down at Indiana State, and Coach May said he wanted to be able to, follow his son's college career, and is open to returning to coaching in the future. So we certainly wish him well.
Well, if Adam Morris does very well, expect him to hold on to this job for a very long time. Hamilton Southeastern is obviously one of the bigger schools. The expectations are pretty high for a team of this caliber. And it's going to be high for Adam Morris to come in and take over a program and, do what he wants with the culture here at Hamilton Southeastern. He said he looked to continue that culture of stingy defense that's come through Hamilton Southeastern. Obviously, Hamilton Southeastern is home to defensive end Randy Gregory of the Dallas Cowboys and a few other professional players' names, such as also Gary Harris, who's a basketball player for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, that's right.
And
then Zach Irvin, who's now playing professionally overseas.
Also Jack Reitz, I think, who plays offensive line, who used to play offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts. Very successful career for Reitz.
Oh. I'd forgotten how short the halftimes are here.
Oh, yeah. Well, 10-minute quarters, 5-minute halftime.
Yeah. Although I've noticed they're generally playing with running clocks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Air Force will come back out on offense here in this championship game and try and get down the field. I mean, they scored on their last drive, and that made it a 2-point ball game. They stopped Navy with some help with the clock there at the end of the first half. And it was a good defensive stance by Air Force to keep Navy out of the end zone before they could take an even bigger lead. And right here, Air Force will come back out with that I-formation offense. And number 30, the quarterback, Kellen Miller for Air Force, will take it. He takes a snap. Toss play to the outside. That's Kyle Lewis, and Lewis is swarmed by the Navy defense. He keeps fighting his little legs forward to the 40-yard line. Yeah, unfortunately, no gain.
I think they're going to give him forward progress back to the line of scrimmage, but that was a great effort because it looked like they had him down for -3 or 4.
Yeah, Kyle Lewis there with some good running, and he was trapped up by the Navy defense. The Navy defense, good effort to keep Lewis from going anywhere.
Oh, by the way, for all you fans interested in the stats, I figured out what was wrong. I had a couple of guys marked on the wrong team, so that was my confusion. I'll give you the correct stats after the game. So anyway, Yeah, the thing is, normally I wouldn't do that, but when it's two teams I've never commentated before, it's an easy
Yeah.
mistake.
Yeah, it's very loosely organized for youth league football. Youth league football's always been very loosely organized throughout the years, and it's getting better though. But I mean, everybody makes mistakes, especially in youth league football. There's a lot of mistakes, but they can all be cleaned up.
That's why we start now rather than start them in high school. When you look at a big high school program.
And right here, the quarterback keeping the wide open line of scrimmage, and he just couldn't get back to it. The quarterback, Kellen Miller, with the keeper, and he was cut down at the line of scrimmage, so still no gain. Third down coming for Air Force. Air Force has not gained a single yard.
But yeah, when you look at a team winning the state championship, it doesn't just happen. It's something that's been, bred over many years of working these kids up the ladder through youth football and really training them. You have to have good development like this, and you have to have a good weight room, good facilities, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment, a lot of money, So whenever you see a team winning a state championship at any level, it's something that was very well earned.
Well, I know that in my high school's conference, we have right here. I'm going to pause that story for just a moment as we get the big run here from Kellen Miller. And Miller gets a few yards on the play. That's going to bring up a fourth down for Air Force.
4th and 5, yeah, but we have seen a couple of touchdowns on 4th down today, or at least a couple of. Yeah, I think we've seen 2 touchdowns on 4th down conversions today.
And back to what I was saying about my high school. We are in the same conference with one of the most legendary head coaches in Indiana high school football.
Oh, Bud Wright.
Yep, Bud Wright. Bud Wright of Sheridan High School is now a 1A school, and 9 state championships under his belt, over 490 wins for him throughout his career. And his son, head coach Kevin Wright of IMG Academy, which is just a football powerhouse down in Florida, one of the best nationally ranked high school teams in the country. They churn out talent left and right, and with him, his success has come off of a lot of
got the
right
first
here.
Down here.
We got a good run here. Number 27, Dylan Lane for Air Force does pick up the first down across the 30-yard line. He's going to get down to about the 26, 27-yard line.
That's they're marking it down at the 28. That'll be a pickup of 7. Did get the first.
Alrighty, well, great. And like I was saying, he talked about how a lot of his development a lot of his success came through the youth program.
Oh, of course.
The youth program was a very big contributor to the fact that they've won 9 state titles, and they went on a couple of three-peats during his tenure at Sheridan High School. He's still there. He's not the head coach, but he still does coaching while he's there, and it's very interesting to see somebody that old, that dedicated to the game of football, and it's really paid off for him. 9 state championships is not some average feat.
Now he's still the head coach there, right, at Sheridan, Bud Wright?
Oh no, he's stepped down as head coach, but he still coaches. There's another head coach in there. I'm not sure what his name is. I haven't really heard much about him because Bud Wright's kind of taken up that big, taking up a lot of the namespace. But he still coaches there. He provides as an assistant coach.
Yeah.
But his tenure at Sheridan has been one of the most successful. Has been the most successful in Indiana high school history.
When did he step down as head coach?
I believe it was a few years ago.
Okay.
I remember, but he still goes to every game. He still acts like a head coach for the team, but he's not listed as a head coach on any of the major stat sites, such as like Max Preps.
Oh, okay.
And you could check Max Preps to when his career as a head coach ended.
Okay,
but he's still around there as a coach.
Do you ever use John Harrell's Indiana high school football site? That's one of my favorites.
I haven't been on there yet, but I'm looking. I'm gonna look into it, and also I use Indiana Almanac Sports.
Yeah.
That's a great website to use to look, and he's not listed as a head coach there either, but that's a very frequently updated website. And
wow, what a
big
hit.
blow up there.
And I saw one of the coaches jump and pump his fist.
That's Alec Punkett. Wow.
I think
good tackle by
1
Puckett.
yard loss there. But yeah, it's John Harrell's website. I use that a lot to prepare for every game. It has all the archives of every game played in Indiana high school football, as well as basketball, boys and girls, back to I think 1994. So
right here, toss play to the outside to the right side.
Wow,
and,
wow, awesome defense there.
Good tackle. Kyle Lewis was the one, the tailback, to get it. And the defense of Navy getting into the backfield, that's a loss of about 2 on the play. That's going to set up a 4th down.
Who was the carrier on that? Was that Tholen?
Kyle,
Okay, yeah.
That was Kyle Lewis.
Lewis
with the carry.
Okay, yeah.
Ryan Tholen is the carry. Yeah. Is the tailback for Navy. Also played quarterback a little bit.
So that's a
short loss on the play, about maybe 2 or 3 yards. That's just still, nevertheless, going to set the back about 4th and 7.
Yep.
Right here, Air Force going with that single back set. Bring a man in motion. They do jet sweep to the outside. That's Kyle Lewis again, and Puckett is out there to try and make the tackle. He's still churning ahead, and he's not going to get the first down. So good defense by Navy to keep Air Force out of the end zone. 2:55 to go in the third quarter. Navy's defense rises up big off the nice tackling from Alec Puckett.
I'll tell you, I think they were going to Lewis. They started going to Lewis a little too often, got a little too predictable there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one thing you can't do in the early youth years is rely on one player to try and get you all the scores and touchdowns. I mean, I remember back when I played 5th grade football, we had 2 guys that we really relied heavily on. We relied on one of our receivers, Logan Benson, who's now one of the best receivers on the Weibo football team, and Peyton Young, who's also the leading defensive safety who leads the team in interceptions before Young played quarterback. And Benson played receiver, and I remember we just let those 2 throw to each other every play, and we'd always score. But one week, I remember Logan Benson went on vacation to a cruise, and we ended up losing a game to Sheridan, and that was our only loss of the season. When he came back, we went on and won a 5th grade championship, and I remember we were pretty mad at the fact that we didn't have an undefeated record because we just relied on those guys too much. And we didn't really develop ourselves as players, but it's a good experience to take from that. You can't just rely on one player or 2 players because you never know, that one player could just become, something of just like a one-year wonder. And right here, the run to the outside gets out across the 30-yard line. That's number 40 of Navy, B.J. Turner. Kyle Lewis there forced him out of bounds.
That's a pickup of about 15 yards. And by the way, Colin, according to John Harrell's Indiana High School football High School football website, Larry Bud Wright is still the head coach at Sheridan. It says,
really?
It says he's 415 and 190 in his 53rd year at the school, and 416 and 193 in his 54th year overall.
Oh, wow.
And Sheridan currently at 6-1 on the season. And let's see, they are ranked.
Well, I know Sheridan had a really successful year last year after we played them in week 1. We always play them in week 1, and they always put up a pretty good fight. They put up a pretty good fight my sophomore year, and right here, nice run.
Wow.
From Navy.
It's
and
hard to bring that guy down.
Ryan Kenny with a big carry. He's going to pick up the first down. Oh, and there is a flag on the play again. So that's 2 runs by Ryan Kenny that have been called back due to penalties. One of those was a touchdown. That's the end of the third quarter.
So 10 minutes to decide the 3rd grade championship here in the Fishers Hamilton Southeastern Youth League. Your score is
14 to 12.
Navy 14, Air Force 12. I had to think there because they don't list the names of the teams on the scoreboard. It says home and guests, and of course, we don't know which is which, since this is, I guess, would be considered a neutral site game.
And looking at Sheridan's record, they're 6-1, 5-0 in their league play.
They're ranked number They're ranked number 5 in the state in Class 1A right now.
Wow, they're just a very good football team all around. It's hard to come by a good football team, especially when you're Class 1A. But I mean, somehow Bud Wright just seems to get it done all the time.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because it's just they have such a strong football culture there in such a strong football culture there in Sheridan, and plus there's so little else to do where the football game is always the hottest ticket in town, and I think it's just all the kids grow up there wanting to be, what are they Blackhawks? Is that yeah, Blackhawks. Kids just want to grow up playing Blackhawk football, so I'm sure I'd like to see the enrollment versus the enrollment of the school versus the team size, because I know Steve Spinks, who's now in his 3rd season as the head coach at Cascade, says he wants Cascade to become a 60-man football team. Now they have 39 players right now, so and based on having about 480 students, assuming half of them are boys, he's counting on getting Cascade football so big that 1/4 of the boys in the school play football. I don't know how realistic that is, but certainly it's a very I admire his ambition.
Well, looking at Sheridan's roster here, I mean, they have 14 seniors, but that's going to be replaced by 11 freshmen coming in, especially that size of a school. That's pretty impressive numbers to get that many freshmen to come in and play football, especially at a school like Sheridan. I mean, I would say that really what attributes to those numbers is the team success that Sheridan has been able to have with head coach Bud Wright. And, they have obviously the 14 seniors leaving, including a quarterback, Drake Delph, who's been one of their best players throughout his career at Sheridan, and James Manis, who has been the leading rusher at Sheridan ever since his freshman year. He's a very tough runner.
So now back to kick off the 4th quarter here.
Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing him play a few times, and I just thought, man, it's hard to stop that kid. And I would say Sheridan is going to make another run at a state championship this year. Maybe the 10th one of Bud Wright's career. Right here, the quarterback keeper. Oh, nice stiff arm there.
Yes.
From the quarterback. Wow, that is Ryan Tholen.
Yeah, he opened the scoring there. He gets about 20 yards on that play.
Wow, Ryan Tholen with a nice carry to pick up a first down for Navy.
24-yard pickup. 3 rushes, 60 yards for Tholen, including the touchdown.
Unbelievable.
And also I remember Bud Wright's son Kent Wright was also the head coach up at Lebanon for a while.
Oh yeah.
And if I remember correctly, I think he's coaching a high school team in Florida now.
Yeah. I believe it is IMG Academy, the one that I referenced to earlier.
Okay.
And it's very interesting because the whole Wright family was featured on an NFL special of Sunday Night Football a few years back. So obviously a lot of legacy in Bud Wright's career. And right here, a flag is going to fly in.
Okay, you mentioned one of his sons was coaching there, but you didn't say Kent. It was another name. So
I think I said Kenny.
Okay. Oh, maybe they call him that. Okay,
I'm sure they probably do.
Okay, because I just know him as Kent. But okay.
Yeah. It's one of them. It's either Kevin or Kent. I believe it's Kevin. Kevin Wright, I think, coaches down at IMG Academy, and I'm not sure about Kent. I haven't heard much about him, but I know Kevin has been one of the more successful out of the Wright brothers.
Yeah, I guess they're the most successful Wright brothers since Orville and Wilbur, based on what you told me about their legacy.
Yeah, they've really done a lot for high school athletics, and especially in Indiana for the small town of Sheridan. So congratulations to them and the Wright family. Right here, they're going to go offset I formation, and it's going to be a quarterback keeper by Tholen. Tholen's not going to get away, though, this time. He's tackled down by Dylan Lane. Wow, good tackling by Lane. He got stiff-armed earlier, but that time he's able to bring him down.
We've seen some darn good tackling in this game.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot of good football so far all around. Not very many mistakes. We've seen a few miscues on some plays, but that's Nothing to worry about. It's just something that can be taken care of. It happens to the best of us. It happens even at the varsity level.
Oh, it does, yeah.
So, I mean, I remember it was a lot of times on back when I was at the varsity level during practice, I get a lot of plays wrong just due to get some confusion right here. Oh, nice block there to the outside and getting across the 10-yard line and down inside the 5. That is number 40, B.J. Turner of Navy. Actually, that's number 50, Ryan Kinney. Ryan Kinney was the one with the carry.
Marking him down at the 7.
Mm-hmm. It was a good run.
So we'll bring up 3rd and about 3. 6:50 to go. Navy trying to pad on their lead. They lead 14-12, 6:44 to go in the season. If they get a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, then it will be virtually over.
Well, like I know we've been talking a lot about different high schools around the state of Indiana. Well, I know this is a Fishers and Hamilton Southeastern game right there. Nice tackle inside the 5-yard line by the Air Force defense.
I think
on 51 Gates.
Yeah, I think he just got to the first down marker.
Mm-hmm. And obviously Hamilton Southeastern, they haven't really been to the state final a lot. Only one state championship in their trophy case for football.
And what's funny about it in retrospect is that was the Class 1A state championship in 1981. And I know people who are growing up today, they probably can't imagine that Hamilton Southeastern was ever a 1A school,
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the field right now, and I see a lot of baseball fields out there. And obviously the football stadium is one of the biggest out here. And the school is just immense. And yeah, it's very hard for me to imagine that this was, in fact, a 1A school. Right there down to the 1-yard line. I believe it might.
Yeah, that was Tholen, yeah.
Yep, Tholen with the carry, so not a touchdown yet, but they do spot it at the 2-yard line. So Navy threatening to score here on Air Force, who's played some good defense so far, but they've given up a lot of big runs to Ryan Tholen. Maybe Tholen will get back into the end zone here. He already has a touchdown today. Tholen is the quarterback. In the backfield, Ryan Kinney. This is a handoff.
Oh, they got him. They got him.
Good defense there from Air Force to bring down Gates. Keegan Gates with the carry.
That's a big loss, about 4 yards.
And wow, that's a big break for the Air Force defense. Nice tackle. Wow. So with 4:35 to go in the fourth quarter, Navy leads 14-12. It's a close one here as the final minutes keep inching closer. And on this football game, Air Force still down by 2. Yeah, like it's I got here earlier this morning about 10 o'clock, and I was marveled at the fact that how large the school was. I mean, even when I was here a few Fridays ago to call the Hamilton Southeastern versus Zionsville game, it was just unbelievable. And right here, the handoff to the left side, and Navy looks like trying to break into the end zone, but good tackling by Air Force, and a flag flies in right about mid-play. So we're going to see here what this flag will be about. If the tackle stands, it's going to bring up a fourth down. It goes on Navy. Wow, so another big loss. And the Air Force defense catches another break.
Yes.
Anyway, as I was saying, when I got here just a few Fridays ago for that Zionsville Hamilton Southeastern game, I was just in awe of the size of the school and the culture here, and it's just unbelievable size. 6A school. I just couldn't even see. I never could even. If you told me that this used to be a 1A school, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, and I'll hold that thought till after this play, but
Tholen with the keeper. Tholen's going to get the outside to the right. He's going to get down on the 10-yard line. That's still third down. They're going to bring on fourth down on the play. Good tackling again by the Air Force defense.
But in 1980, in 1980, the year before that state championship, the population of Fishers was 2,800. And then in 1990, it was up to 8,800. In 2000, it was up to 37,000. and now it's estimated to be, I think, 90,000 or so.
Unbelievable. Wow.
So
2,000 to 90,000.
So it's increased to more than 30 times the population, and in fact, until 2006, there was only one public high school that served the city of Fishers. It was Hamilton Southeastern here, and it got so big they just carved the district in two. So now that's why you have Hamilton Southeastern High School and Fishers High School. And I know it was.
All right, Tholen's going to throw, and it's incomplete. So that's fourth down. That's a turnover on downs. And the Air Force defense comes up big.
So we're going down to the wire here. Air Force will take over, trailing by 2 with 2 minutes to go to save their championship. Your score, Navy 14, Air Force 12.
2 minutes to go, and Air Force has the football down 2. See if they can break into the end zone. And we've got a good one here on Audio Sports Online.
But, after all the, like I said, Hamilton Southeastern, they did get the Class 1A championship. And then they've had a lot of close calls since they moved up to the higher classes. And I know it was very bittersweet for their fans when only the 5th year after the split, Fishers won the state championship in 2010 in Class 5A, which at the time was the top class in the state. They didn't go to six classes until 2013. And the Hamilton Southeastern fans had to keep thinking if we had not had the split, that would have been ours,
Yeah, I mean, that's very tough.
And also it's a tribute to the fact that they split the talent in half, and one of the sides still won the state championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's just ironic that, one side of the city wins the state championship and the other side is going, well, I mean, that could have been ours too.
Yeah.
That's a tough break.
And Fishers Hamilton Southeastern has become one of the great rivalries in Indiana high school football, and it helps that they're in this. Not only do they play every year in the regular season, both being in the Hoosier Crossroads Conference, but they also play in the sectional more years than not. Since it's 4-team sectional, they're both in it. So, in fact, I've commentated them against each other in the sectional 3 times.
Oh, I bet that was a good game.
Yeah, it's always exciting. Last year, the thing that I hated about it was that they had the temperature was around 36 for kickoff, and they only had about 500 people there. But the first 2 times I commentated, it was well in the thousands. The attendance was.
Oh, and right here, an outside run.
We got
from
a flag.
Air Force. We got a flag down, but going to the end zone. That's number 50, Nate Thompson of Air Force. He scores.
But will it count?
We'll see if it counts, though. I don't know if it will because one of the Air Force players looking at his head coach like, oh, no, I'm sorry.
So 1:50 to go, and it is coming back.
Oh, wow, tough break. With 1:50, wow. Air Force only needed 1 play to get in the end zone, and right there, that was the deal breaker. That may have been the game, Leck.
It could have been. Now that'll so they restart at the 40 there. 1:50 to go. Now, one thing I'm not clear, Colin, about is how many timeouts you get in third grade ball.
Just 1 second. We had a little camera issue here, but we are back good to go.
Another thing, thinking about that just struck me, thinking about this being a 1A school, look at the size of the visiting bleachers.
Oh, yeah, I know. Let me get the camera resized up here. Sorry for that little
So now they
mishap.
give it once again
right
to Thompson.
Here, the outside.
And I think he got out of bounds. 1:44 to go after a pickup of about 6. But, I mean, there are a lot of schools in the state that don't have home bleachers as big as their visiting bleachers.
Oh yeah, I know my high school. These visiting bleachers for Hamilton Southeastern, they're way bigger than what we have over at Western Boone, and I don't even think our entire school could fill that giant row. I mean,
I don't think so. No.
That looks like something I would see at a Division III college, such as like DePaul or Wabash.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Those are it's unbelievable the size of both schools.
Yeah, the University of Indianapolis is a Division II school, and their stadium holds 5,500. I bet they could, especially with standing room, they might be able to top that here. It'd be close at least.
Oh, easily.
Fakes the handoff.
On right here up the middle. That's number 44, Knox Borgerding.
Had a touchdown earlier. 1:34 to go and counting. Air Force has to hurry.
Well, he's just short of the first down. That's going to bring up 4th down for Air Force. That's very 4th and short to go. And the Navy defense is going to have to make a big stop here with 1:20 to go in the 4th quarter. Boy, a very exciting game to start off the afternoon, Leck.
Yeah, we still got 3 more to play. Hopefully your voices will hold up, but that's why, I was glad to find out you were going to be here too, because I wasn't sure about doing 4 games by myself, especially since I already did one on Friday night, then one yesterday morning.
Yeah, me too. I did one last night as well. Right here, let's see what happens for Air Force. They're going to get it out the outside. Oh, and a reverse play.
Oh, man.
And that executed perfectly. First down for Air Force, and he's still going. Oh, and he's tripped up just before he can get away. That's number 33 on the run. That's Akari King for Air Force, who picks up the crucial first down. And they'll be spotted at the 28-yard line. The clock is going to continue to tick. We got 44 seconds to go until the football game is over, and Air Force trailing by 2. They're still in the huddle here. They're going to have to get moving.
Yeah, oh, yes. Now suddenly they realize that they start hurrying.
And here they go. The crowd is on their feet here on the home side, cheering on their Air Force team right here. And the quarterback keeper. Oh, nice tackle break.
Tackle.
Right there. He's going to get out of bounds. And a nice run from Knox Borgerding. Again, that's going to stop the clock with 20 seconds to go. He picks, it looks like he might have picked up another first down.
I believe he did.
Actually, yeah, it looks like they are going to probably move the chain, maybe. Yes, they will.
Yes, so 20.1 seconds to go. So we're going to have a thriller of a finish here to start off this quadruple header.
Let's see what happens here. 20 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. Air Force trailing by 2, looking to get into the end zone. Borgerding under center. They're going to wave for a timeout. And Navy takes it. Oh, boy, Leck. Down to the wire.
Oh, yeah.
We thought maybe Navy could put it away earlier, but great defense by Air Force put them in this position to take over this football game.
So when we resume play, it will be first down for Air Force at the 14 with 20.1 seconds to go. And they trail 14-12 with the third-grade championship on the line. Possibly in a few years, some of these kids will be teammates or opponents with Fishers and or Hamilton Southeastern, and I think they'll still always remember, this third-grade championship game in 2018. What a thriller it was. It was neck and neck the whole way.
And it looks like the food has finally arrived here in the press box, Lex.
Right.
So make it a little grub on before the second game rolls around.
Yep. I don't remember if they had food service the last time that we were here or not. I think I remember getting some Papa John's pizza from the refreshment stand down there.
I remember, the last time I was here, we had Chick-fil-A brought up to the press box for the varsity game.
Oh, yeah.
And right here, let's see what happens. Air Force Borgerding under center. He's going to throw. He rolls out. Oh, and he steps away from a few defenders, splits the defense, and he picks up about 5 yards on the play. It's going to bring up 12 seconds on the clock, and it's going to bring up second down. Timeout is taken by Air Force.
Picks up 7 seconds. Picks up 7 yards there.
Good run by Borgerding. He avoided the sack, which would have put them out of very good field position. But right now they're inside the 10-yard line, about the 9. Or actually, they're going to be spotted about the 7-yard line. Excuse me. I'm looking at the trying to look past the soccer line and the 10-yard line. They're like neck and neck with each other. Only the 0 of the 10-yard line separates them. Well, looking at it here, we're going to see what Air Force decides to do, and maybe Navy's defense could get a spark here. 12 seconds left. This might be the game.
Could be the last play, yeah. Pitch
right
back.
Here, toss to the outside. And he's
got
the corner.
Did he get it?
Oh, and he nearly got. Oh, he's going to be out at the 1-yard line.
5.8 seconds to go.
Wow.
We are going down to the wire here.
Good save by the Navy defense.
So, yeah, King
Wow.
got 6 yards, 1 yard short. I
Connor
thought he might have
Gorman.
it, so now
Connor Gorman
5.8
with the
seconds to
tackle.
go. Well, we got a flag.
Oh, boy.
It could be coming back. Because I thought, wow, what a great finish that would have been. The last play from the 1 yard line with the championship on the line.
Oh, boy.
But
Let's see here what happens. I don't know if
still waiting for a signal.
where do you see the flag at?
I thought it was, maybe it's an illusion, but I thought it's down like on about the 2 yard line there. I see.
Oh,
something yellow.
that is just a yellow mark.
Oh,
from
okay,
the soccer line.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I thought it was a flag.
I've been caught there before. I looked at that earlier and I thought, who left their flag laying down on the field right there? And then I looked and I said, oh it's just the
by the way,
the soccer circle.
A friend of mine who's listening says that you're just a little bit louder than me, so you might want to make a slight adjustment there on the mixing board.
I can do that. Turn
So
that down
thank you,
just a little bit.
thank you, Stacy, for that information. Let us know if it sounds level now.
All right, let's see what Air Force decides to do here. I formation. Game on the line here. This might be the final play. 5 seconds to go.
For the championship.
And right here, the snap. Oh, and they're going to throw a flag. This one might be. Oh, it is going to go against Air Force.
Yeah, they just got a little overzealous.
It's a false start.
And that's one of those things that very well could end up costing them the championship. And I understand these are third grade kids; they're excited about the championship, but you just got to stay composed and got to stay composed, no matter what. And but it's part of the learning and growing process. And what's amazing, we actually have not had any scoring here in the second half after that barrage of scoring we had in the first half.
That's very surprising to me. It's been all about defense here in the second half. But Navy's defense has definitely played well. Air Force's defense played very well. Air Force back in offensive formation. They're back in the eye. 5 seconds left, trailing by 2. 14-12 the score. Borgening's going to take it himself. Oh, he breaks a tackle. Oh,
they stop him, and that's it. Stopped him. And Navy wins the championship.
And right there, the coach flung his clipboard in the air.
Yes.
Celebration for his kids. And Navy's going to come away with the third grade championship as time expires.
Yeah, so that's a game that these kids, like I said, in a few years, some of them are going to be playing for Hamilton Southeastern, some for Fishers. So these kids are going to be teammates and or opponents for many years after, at least 9 years after this. But I think they'll always remember the 2018 championship game in third grade.
Yeah, that was a tough one for Air Force. They stopped Navy on a goal line stand. They had a good defensive showing in the second half. And they just weren't. They drove all the way down the field only to get a false start penalty, and then Borgening was wrestled down just before he could reach to the end zone. It kind of reminds me of the TV show Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. Well, it was a tale of two halves today because that first half, each team scored on its first two possessions, and then the half ended with the Navy. They turned it over on downs, I think, on the 4. And then there's no scoring at all in the second half. And now the two teams have a handshake line. They were opponents tonight, but a lot of them are going to be teammates, over the years, in middle school and high school. And so, and while they're playing the Navy fight song now. So, anyway.
Wow.
Look at the individual scoring breakdown for the game. 6:02 to go in the first quarter. Ryan Tholen scored on an 11-yard rush. 2-point conversion failed. Then Air Force struck back on a 38-yard rush by Kyle Lewis. 2-point conversion failed, making it 6-6. Then early in the second quarter, Keegan Gates scored for Air Force on a 35-0 run. And then this is very significant. Then we had the only successful conversion of the game. It was a 2-point conversion rush by B.J. Turner, and that made it 14-6. And then finally, with 2:37 to go, good shining number there. In the second quarter, Knox Borderding scored on a 32-yard rush, and the 2-point conversion failed. And even though we had more than half of a football to play, that brought us to what turned out to be our final score of 14-2, and the game ended with Borderding getting tackled at the 3 as he was driving toward the end zone. So look at the individual statistics. First of all, for Navy, they went 0 for 4 for the game on passing. Then on rushing, Ryan Tholen went 6 for 66 and a touchdown. Keegan Gates went 5 for 39 and a touchdown. B.J. Turner went 2 for 10. Kipton Harris went 3 for 7. Ryan Kinney went 1 for 7. And Colin Wolf went 2 for 48. And meanwhile, for Air Force, Knox Borderding went 6 for 61. Kyle Lewis went 6 for 44. Dylan Lane went 4 for 12. Kellen Miller went 3 for 7. Akari King went 3 for 24. Nate Thompson went 2 for 10. So anyway, so Colin, great start to the quadruple header here, and much congratulations to Navy on their 3rd grade championship.
Very much so, and yeah, we're going to take a break here to listen in for the awards ceremony for Navy as they get their awards after their season is over and they come away with a very successful season and a championship win. 14-12 over Air Force. Good defensive stand by Navy to end it. That is all for us for right now. We're going to let you watch the championship ceremony, and then we'll be back with a second game here after that. I'm Colin Bruns alongside Lex Zorn, bringing you the action from Hamilton Southeastern High School.
Oh, man.
Exhibition. Number 27, Burke McFarland. Number 30, Ben Hermey. Number 33, Sam Sloan. Number 40, Ethan Goodwin. Number 44, Brody Wright. Number 50, Spencer Lawhead. And number 51, Andrew Adamson. Indiana is coached by Zach Bishton, Rob Hampton, and Chris Lawhead. Congratulations, Indiana. And now for the presentation of the 3rd grade runner-up trophies. The Air Force Falcons, number 6, Luxton Sunling. Number 7, Chase LaGreco. Number 10, Caleb Lewis. Number 12, Noah Hakes. Number 18, Kyle Lewis. Number 27, Dylan Lane. Number 30, Kellen Miller. Number 33, Akari King. Number 44, Max Bordering. Number 50, Nate Thompson. Number 51, Avery Sherwood. Number 58, Ron Trod. Air Force is coached by John Lewis, Troy Thompson, and Ryan Burdering. Congratulations, Air Force. And now for the presentation of the championship trophies to the Navy midshipmen. Number 6, Gabe Griffin. Number 7, Bailey Rosenberg. Number 10, Kipton Harris. Number 12, Rowan Ward. Number 27, Max Steinbug. Number 30, McLean South. Number 33, Connor Borman. Number 40, B.J. Turner. Number 44, Colin Wolf. Number 50, Ryan Kenny. Number 51, Keegan Gates. Number 55, Alex Puckett. And number 18, Ryan Holden. They be coached by Chris Kleinbaum, Ryan Holden, Ryan Wolf, and John Moore. Congratulations, Navy. Thank you for attending the third grade championship game. We look forward to seeing you next year. The cheerleaders for the Navy Midshipmen. Lucy Carey. Juliana Purdy. Ava Johnson. Haley Kemp. Leighton Millar. Cora Hott. Aiden Roberts. And Neil Morrison. The cheerleader for Air Force, Nora Bishop. Ruby Bishop. Sophia Kimmis.
So, did Rob, you did check the Rob say sounded okay?
Abigail Flash.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to go get someone to drink. I'll be back.
Charlotte Flash. And Isabel Kerman.
I'll disconnect the thing after this is over and then I'll restart it like 30 seconds later.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Fishers HSE Youth Football and HSE High School welcomes you to the Reynolds Royal Stadium for this afternoon's fourth grade championship game between the Ohio State Buckeyes